folks, this is a bit of another beginner video. This one's going to be different. We're going to make a holster, a slide holster to be specific. The slide holster is not, they're probably the easiest holster to make. Doesn't necessarily have to be wet formed. I wet form them because I just like to wet form them. But that's what I'm going to make. I'm going to make probably two of them, and I'll get some measurements down. I may only show one. I'm going to do one for the CZ75 because I have the blue gun. I could do one for a 1911 too. I have that blue gun. I could do other guns that I have the guns. And I'm going to do another one for a compact 9mm, the Hellcat. These will fit, I believe if I make the Hellcat one, it will also fit other firearms like the SIG P365 and stuff like that. So I'm going to get on the bench here, get some patterns made, and let's see what we end up with. Alright, your typical slide holster is going to be, it's going to cover about so much. It's going to cover your trigger guard completely, and it will be so that you can get a good grip on it and then draw. There really isn't much to them. These are not the best holsters in the world, so you can take my word for that or not. I carried one for a little while, didn't much care for it, but it is what it is. So the first measurement I want to take is from where the trigger guard meets the frame down here, where it stops curving, where the curve stops. And I want to go probably right up to the end of the trigger guard, right here in your grip. And for that I have, I'm going to call it 2 1/4, 2 1/8. And I need to add some. I like to have a little extra down at the bottom to help support below the trigger guard a little bit. So I'll probably add 3/4 of an inch. Call it 3/8. Or more. You can go more too. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to have to go 3 inches. Let's go 3.5 inches. I'm going to put a little flare on the top. So let's measure up 3.5. I've already got my squared off corner. So if you've seen me make patterns before, you know that I use these plastic rulers. I set one up here and I use a square. So there is 3.5. And I'm going to cut out 2 of them right away. So we have that measurement. Now if I go down here, I can also use this triangle to set up my steel ruler, so I've got a good ruler to cut against. And I was a little off. But touch over 3.5. That's all you need. There's 2 pieces to this holster is all there is. I might put in a third. I'm actually probably going to line this holster because the all I've got is an 8 to 9. I usually use a little heavier, but I don't have it handy. So there's my 3.5. I know these edges are square, the long edges, and this edge is square. Should be. It should be anyway. Let's look and make sure. Yep. So I'm going to set my blue gun in here. If you're using a real gun, please, please, please remove the magazine. Make sure there's nothing in the chamber. Put the magazine back in the safe. Don't have it on the counter. So, depending on, these are not side specific either. So, I usually like a little bit of an angle. Some people will say the FBI cant of 15 degrees. And I don't care. Whatever angle is comfortable for you is the angle you want to use. And I want to leave about 3/4 of an inch between the top of the holster and my gun, right at the trigger guard like this. So that's about 3/4 of an inch. So I've got 3.5 wide, and this looks like it's going to be about right lengthwise. Some people will do a little shorter, and that's fine. In fact, I probably will go a little shorter, but let's just get our tracing done here first. I want to run this line from the top, and I want to come around the rest of it here. So now I've got just a simple outline. Around the trigger guard's maybe 3/8. Yep, a little over 3/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna add 1/4 of an inch around the trigger guard, and when I get down here, you want to try to eyeball the width of your gun. If you got a caliper handy, use that. It's about 1 inch. So I'm going to add 1/2 inch down around here. I'm going to add 1/2 inch at the top, because that's just kind of the way you need to go. So this line is not very straight. Now it is. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to add 1/2 inch to the top. Now, all that's going to be, this is going to be my stitch line over here. So 1/2 of 3/8 is 3/16. I'm going to go 1/4. Now, I've seen some patterns that are very simple. They'll just come straight and straight and straight, and that fits just about any firearm you want to put in it. I tend to get a little more specific with mine, but I have a feeling this will fit. It'll fit more than just the P3 or this CZ75. Down towards the bottom here, we need to go that 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to freehand connect the dots. somewhere I have an eraser just to clean that up a little bit. So these are stitch lines. So you can see where I'm at now. I started 3.5 inches wide. Now I need to come probably, let's see if I can find all right, so this is a slot punch, and basically it is about 3/8 wide, not quite 1.5 inches, so it's, or a little over, just over 1.5 inches, 1 5/8 inches, and that's pretty much what you need for a belt to go through. I don't want to go too far back, and I want to keep it fairly high, just so that when you're wearing it, it keeps the butt of the gun up against your hip. So that, I'm thinking, is, it's been quite a while, so you'll have to forgive me a little bit. Away from the holster, I want to go 3/4 from the widest part of your trigger guard. And I want to come down about 1/2 inch. And let's make that straight with the bottom. Go like that. And there's my belt slot. So again, I'm going to write these measurements down on here. Half an inch for your belt slot. That was 3/4, was it? Yep. So here I want to go from the top. I kind of want to go over 3/4 again. But me, yeah, yep, I better go 3/4 from the top. So we'll make that mark at 3/4. Put this there. And again, this, I don't know if I've linked these yet. These rulers I got from Maker's Leather Supply. I'm going to line that up on that. And I'm going to come down. Half an inch. Make that mark. And I'm just gonna line up my punch. Turn this in a direction that I can actually use it. So I've got that on my mark. At the end of the punch on the other mark. And there we go. I might need to touch up the edge of this punch a little bit. Try to clean them out right away, that way I don't forget. Oh, lift a little there, get that cut off. And that's pretty simple. All right, I'll get the rest of the measurements in here. We're gonna go. There it is. From the edge. Just about 1/2 inch. I'll cut that off. Be careful if you're cutting up against a plastic ruler. You can ruin it pretty quick and easy. So there we go. That is about all there is to one of these holsters. You cut 2 pieces like that, and you're pretty much done. But you can't just leave it like that. That would be silly. We have to round off these corners. I am going to take this is a 1 inch. Yep. So this washer measures 1 inch straight across. Remember, you don't need to get real fancy tools. So I'm going to do the top of them. They're the top corners with this. On the bottom, I think I want to take a little more off. So from my stitch line, I'm going to come out say 3/4 of an inch. And then I want to be no closer than 1/2 inch from the bottom of this, either slot. I don't want to ever get closer than 1/2 inch. So if I just take and draw a line across that, and that looks pretty good there. So I'm kind of going right off the corner of the slot here. Try that again with some lead this time. Alright. Turn my other light on so I can see better. If it'll start. There we go. Kind of chilly in the shop today. I'm guessing I'd be lucky if it's 40 degrees in here. I'm kidding, it's probably about 50, 45. just going to use the same washer again to trim this. And I'm just lining it up with the edges. I'm just kind of nicking off that little bit. And there we go. That's pretty much our holster. I just need to cut 2 pieces of leather. They'll both be the same, but you'll flip it from one side for one side and the other side. And this overall length here is 7 7/16. So we go 7.5, we'll call that. So, see if that makes any sense. I'll try to make this into a digital pattern. I'm not going to make any promises, see what kind of time I've got. But you get the idea. We're 3.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches long. The belt slots are 1 5/8 by 3/8 wide. And the rest is pretty simple. One of the things I'll do is after I cut this out, or draw it out on my leather, I'll then, can't think right now. I'll cut down my stitch lines, down both of them, so that I can lay it in there, pull this piece off, or leave the end pieces on, and I can draw my stitch lines. So I know where to glue and where to stitch. All come clear soon enough. So let me be right back. I'm going to grab my leather. I'm going to quick draw up this other one for the Hellcat, and we'll be back